Hello everyone, welcome back. What if I tell you, you can turn any quadratics into perfect squares? Well, completing the square method not only helps you to solve the quadratic equation, but it also unlocks the secret to find the turning point or the vertex of the turning point. So without wasting time any further, let's do some math. Hello. So in this video, we are going to learn how to use completing the square method to find the solutions and also how to write a quadratic expression into completing the square form. So let's check. So first of all, what is completing the square form? So we can write, let's say we have a quadratic equation that is ax square plus bx plus c. And when we rewrite this equation in this form, that is a times x plus b the whole square plus c, this is your completing the square form. Now the question is, okay, we'll learn completing the square form, but the question is, why are we learning this? Why there's a need to rewrite the equation in completing the square form? Because we have already learned factorization method to find the solution, right? We have already learned factorization method. We have also learned quadratic formula. Then why there's a need to rewrite the quadratic expression in completing the square form and then use it to find the solutions? Because completing the square form helps you to find the turning point. So let's say this is your graph, this is your parabola, because the graphical representation of a quadratic expression is a parabola. When you find the solution, when you solve a quadratic equation, you get the solution. Those solutions, these are your x1 and x2, x1 and x2. Either whether you use factorization method or quadratic formula method, the x1 and x2 that you get, that is the solution which is represented on these 2 points, which is on the point of intersection on x-axis. This is your y-axis, and this is the value of c, which is the y-intercept, which is also mentioned in the equation or the expression, but when you plot it, you get it here. But completing the square method helps you to find the turning point. This is the turning point. And how do you get that turning point after rewriting the quadratic expression into completing the square form? So when you write the quadratic expression as ax plus b the whole square plus c, minus b and c is your turning point. So whatever is the value of b here, you put a negative sign to that. So minus b plus c. This c, you write c as it is. This coordinate is always your turning point into in the graph when you plot the graph. So that is why there's a need to write the quadratic expression into the completing the square form. This can also be calculated. This can also be calculated using the algebraic method. If you want to find this coordinate, which is x, and this coordinate, which is y, you can find x equals to minus b by 2a. We will learn this in detail in some other video. For now, let's try to practice few questions which is based on completing the square form or method. So let's start from question number 1. I suggest if you don't have your pen and paper with you, do bring a pen and paper so that you can also practice along, and this will be helpful to you. You can also share this video with your friends so that they can also learn it. Question number 1, it says write x minus 6 the whole square plus 1 in the form of x plus a the whole square plus b. So now, first thing first, we have to learn the steps to convert or rewrite this expression in this form. So let's check. I'll explain it here. So it's a two-step process. Step 1, you have to make sure the coefficient of x square, is equals to 1. You have to make sure that the coefficient of x square is equals to 1. Second step, you have to add and subtract b by 2 the whole square into the given expression. And what is the b value? B value is this -6 in this equation, or you can check it from the quadratic expression, any quadratic expression, which is always in this form: ax square plus bx plus c, where a, b and c are the integers. B is the coefficient of x, a is the coefficient of x square, and c is the integer term or the constant term. So now with this information, let's try to solve question number 1, part A. It says write x square minus 6x plus 1 in this form. So we know that if we have to convert a quadratic expression into completing the square form, the first thing that we will check is whether the coefficient of x square is 1 or not. It's 1 in this case already. So now step 2, add and subtract b by 2 the whole square. But what's the value of b? The value of b is -6 in this, so -6 divided by 2 the whole square, which can be written as -3 the whole square, which is 9. Always write it like this. I know it's easy to write -6 by 2 the whole square, that's -3, that square is 9 directly, but this -3 value is going to help you. Let's check how. So now rewrite the equation, write down x square minus 6x, and as I told you, you have to add and subtract this value. So add 9, always add next to the middle term. Then you have plus 1, so plus 1, and you also have to subtract 9, so minus 9. Now the first 3 terms will always give you the square of the binomial term, which is going to be x minus 3 the whole square. Now from where I am writing this -3, this -3 is this. And you can check a minus b the whole square, which is a square minus 2ab plus b square. So x minus 3 the whole square will definitely give you x square minus 6x plus 9. You can check it. And then these constant terms, which is 1 minus 9, which can be written as -8, and that's the answer. This is how we had to write. Now it says write down the coordinates of the turning point of the graph, which is y equals to -6x plus 1. So y equals to x square minus 6x plus 1. This is the same expression, and we have to write down the turning point. So we have just learned when the quadratic expression is written in this form, x plus a the whole square plus b. At that time, minus a comma b is your turning point. That means whatever is the sign of a, you change the sign. So in this case, we have written this as x minus 3 the whole square minus 8. That means the turning point is going to be 3 comma -8. Why 3 comma -8? This -8 will be written as it is, and we have to change the sign of this value, which is -3, so it will be changed to +3. Let's move on to the next question now. I hope this is helpful to everyone. If you have any doubts, any confusion, you can write it in the comment section, and I'll definitely reply back to you. Let's try question number 2 now. It says write x square plus 8x plus 5 in this form. So let's try. We know that we have to add and subtract b by 2 the whole square, because the step 1 coefficient of x square is already 1. So b is 8 by 2 the whole square, that is 4 square, that is going to be 16. So now I have to write down the expression as x square plus 8x plus 16, then plus 5, and then minus 16. And now the first 3 terms will give me the expansion of x plus 4 the whole square. This 4 is this, and 5 minus 16 is going to be minus 11. So this is our completing the square form. Now it says write down the coordinates of the turning point of the graph y equals to x square plus 8x plus 5, which is the same expression. So now the turning point is going to be -4, -11. Because this is +4, the sign will change. -4 and -11 will be written as it is. This is going to be your turning point. Let's move on to question number 3. It says write 2x square minus 12x plus 23 in the form of ax plus b the whole square plus c. Now till now, the questions that we solved, we observed that the coefficient of x square was 1. In this case, the coefficient of x square is not 1. That means we have to make the coefficient of x square as 1. And how is that possible? Because the coefficient of x square is 2, divide the entire equation by 2. or there's another way. There's one more way, because 2 is a factor of 12, and we can take 2 common from first and second term. X square, we can write it as x square minus 6x, and this plus 23 we can write additionally. This is possible because we are taking 2 common from first 2 terms only. We are not touching the third term, and that is why the first 2 terms are written in bracket with 2 as a common factor outside the bracket. Now we again have a quadratic expression which is written inside the bracket. So 2 times we have x square minus 6x. That means this time the value of b is negative 6. b is negative 6, and we know that we have to do b by 2 the whole square. That is going to be negative 6 by 2 the whole square, which is negative 3 square, which is going to be 9. That means I have to write x square minus 6x plus 9 minus 9 and plus 23 additionally outside the bracket. Generally we used to do this negative 9 at the end, but because this time we are rewriting this quadratic expression and again inside the bracket, and now we have x square minus 6x quadratic expression inside the bracket, so we'll add and subtract also inside the bracket. And then because this negative 9 is additional, we'll take this outside. And how is that possible? We can write 2 times x square minus 6x plus 9, first 3 terms as it is, because there is 2 preceding the bracket. 2 multiplied by 9 is going to be 18, so negative 18, plus 23 negative 18, and that is how we have 2 times x square minus 6x plus 9 can be written as x minus 3 the whole square. This negative 3 is this, and these 3 terms will always give you the expansion of the square of the binomial term. And so you just have to write x, and this minus 3 comes from here, the whole square, and now you have to do positive 23 minus 18, which is 5, so plus 5, and this is your answer in the form that was asked. The value of a here is 2, b is negative 3, and c is 5. It says write down the coordinates of the turning point of the graph 2x square minus 12x plus 23. So the turning point is going to be 3, 5. This is negative 3, so the sign will change here, and you will write 3, and this 5 you will write as it is, and this is the answer. Let's move on to question number 4 now. Question number 4, we have 3x square minus 30x plus 63, and we have to rewrite in this form. So let's check. Again, we have to make coefficient of x square as 1, so I can take 3 common because I can clearly see 30 is also a multiple of 3. So 3 times x square minus 10x, and I want to keep this 63 outside. So again, we have a quadratic expression which is written inside the bracket. So this time the value of b is negative 10. So we will do negative 10 by 2 the whole square, which is negative 5 the whole square, and that's 25. So we have to add and subtract 25. So we can write 3 times x square minus 10 plus 25 and minus 25, and additional 63 outside the bracket, and then we can write 3 times x square minus 10 plus 25, and this negative 25 is additional, so 25 into 3, that's 75 with a negative sign, so plus 63 minus 75 outside, because we are multiplying 3 with negative 25, and then we are taking it outside the bracket. So now we have 3 times x minus 5 the whole square, which is the reverse case. The expansion of x minus 5 the whole square will give you x square minus 10x plus 25. This minus 5 is coming from here, and plus 63 minus 75, which is going to be negative 63 minus 75, which is negative 12. So I have to write negative 12 over here, and that's the answer. Now it again says write down the turning point of this graph, which is the same expression. So the turning point is going to be 5, negative 12. This is positive 5. You change the sign and write it as negative 5. Negative 12 will be written as it is, and this is the turning point. Let's try the last question. It says by completing the square, solve x square plus 10x minus 3 equals to 0. Give your answer in third form. So this is something different. In this case, we have to rewrite the quadratic expression in completing the square form, and it should be and then we have to write down the solution, and the solution should be in surd form. Just like we have learned factorization method, quadratic formula method to find the solution, completing the square method is also one of the methods that is used to find the solutions of the quadratic equation. So let's check how is that possible. First, let's rewrite. So we know that step 1, coefficient of x squared should be 1, which is already 1. Step 2, we have to write b by 2 the whole square. The value of b is 10, so 10 by 2 the whole square, and that is going to be 5 square, which is 25. So I'll write it as x square. I'll write it as x square plus 10x plus 25 minus 3 minus 25 equals to 0. The first 3 terms will always give me the square of the binomial expression, that is x plus 5 the whole square. This plus 5 is now coming from here, and here we have negative 28 equals to 0. So now this is in the form of completing the square form. Now next step is transpose this 28 to the other side. So we will have x plus 5 the whole square is equals to 28, because it was negative in the LHS. So when we will transpose, it will become positive. Now we have x plus 5 the whole square, but we have to find the value of x. So for that, we will take under root both the sides. So we will get x plus 5 is equals to root of 28, positive and negative. Now x will be positive negative root 28 minus 5. So x1 will be minus 5 plus root 28, and x2 will be minus 5 minus root 28. In this question, it's clearly mentioned that you leave your answer in the surd form. So this is our x1 and x2 value, and that's the answer. With this, we are done with solving problems based on completing the square method. If this was helpful to you, do consider it sharing with your friends. You like the video if this was helpful to you, and that's all from my end. Bye everyone.